Tonight, the death of a young mother. Police call for bans on P-platers driving powerful vehicles. WA Housing Minister admits his department needs improvement. 9 killed and 30 injured in a Hong Kong street fire. And 2 Perth heavyweights join together for an Australia Day Big Bang.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Ana Godden.
Good evening. Co-anchor Ana Godden has the night off. Let's wish her well. Also tonight, Aung San Suu Kyi meets US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. We begin with a husband widowed and his baby boy left crying for his mother after a young Perth woman was killed by a teenager driving a Subaru Impreza WRX. Police Commissioner Carl Callaghan wants to extend WA's laws to ban P-platers from driving high-powered vehicles. Our reporter Alex Stelbovics went out to discover the public's opinion on this issue.
The increased voice to stop P-plate drivers having access to high-powered vehicles increased an octave this Thursday when Police Commissioner Carl Callaghan added strong support for restricting certain vehicles for the use of newly licensed drivers on WA roads. The call came after the tragic death of mother Manju Falou in Maylands on last Tuesday when she was struck by an out-of-control Subaru WRX being driven by an 18-year-old Naranda youth. Public opinion up till now has been mixed, with some saying no to a ban and others calling for one.
I think they should still be allowed to drive their current vehicles. We don't need any more nanny state laws.
There's obviously a problem with it in terms of speeding and hoons across the roads, and especially at such a young age, it probably should be saved to a much later stage in driving when they have a lot more experience behind them.
Road Safety Minister Rob Johnson had been set the job in 2009 to research simple power-to-weight ratios and attach acceptable labels and figures to high-powered cars in order to create a clear ban list of unacceptable powerful vehicles. Having not completed this task, he said he would now urgently pursue it further. Like several eastern states, Victoria threw out power-to-weight ratios in 2007 in favour of a clear-cut power vehicle ban list. Pressure is now mounting for government in WA to follow suit immediately. Alex Stelbovics, DHK News.
Housing Minister Troy Buswell admits the performance of his department needs to be addressed after an inquiry tabled its findings this Wednesday in State Parliament. The inquiry comes after Robert Rowe Hayes passed away in a public housing unit in Wellington Street. His body wasn't found for 2 years.
Police estimate that Mr. Robert Rowe died in early July 2009, but his body lay undetected in his home for nearly 2 years until it was discovered in July this year. An independent inquiry ordered by the state government found that a combination of factors including underperforming staff, difficult tenants, and an outdated computer system were to blame. However, the review did not find any evidence of misconduct within the department that would warrant disciplinary action. The Housing Minister Troy Buswell admits that he is disappointed that compulsory regular property inspections were not carried out, but is confident that his department is doing all it can to improve its practices. The minister also revealed to Parliament that many of the review's recommendations are already in place, such as a new replacement computer system. Despite this, the opposition says the government is still not doing enough to address the problems. Shadow Housing Minister Mark McCowan says disciplinary action should be taken against staff members involved if they have misled about what they have done.
If you go to pages 14, 15 and 16 of the report, you'll see that on 3 occasions, staff members said that they had inspected the property when clearly they had not. Mr. Buswell is not telling the truth in relation to the failures in his own agency, and he needs to explain why he is not telling the truth.
In defence, Mr. Buswell is quick to stress the difference between misconduct and underperformance.
From the Public Sector Commissioners, there's nothing in here that constitutes misconduct on behalf of an individual. I think what you have is underperformance, and I think we have to be careful not to confuse underperformance with misconduct. There is clearly a significant difference.
Shibs, DHK News.
At least 9 people are dead, with 5 in critical condition and 30 injured after a horrific inferno at Falou Street in Mong Kok. An initial investigation suggested the blaze could have been arson. Firemen say more than one ignition source had been found.
The grieving families gathered together in Mong Kok where it all happened. Some of them has come all the way from Hainan province in order to arrange the funeral affairs. The family members were at the scene paying respects for their loved ones. Police are still conducting research at the scene in Falou Street to further investigate the cause of the blaze. Despite this, they allowed some of the affected residents to return to their homes to calculate their loss. A total of 96 residents are being temporarily settled in public housing. CCTV footages on Falou Street have also been realized. It shows that one person passes by at 4:46 in the morning, another one passes by at 4:48 a.m., just 2 minutes before the deadly inferno. The police now appeal to the public and those two people shown on the footage to contact them immediately on 9022-0072 or 2761-2344. Kenneth, Cheung, DHK News, Hong Kong.
The Chief Executive Donald Tsang says the government welcomes the media's role in monitoring its work, but addressing the Chinese University's Journalism Awards ceremony, Mr. Tsang also appealed to the media outlets to be more accurate and objective in their reporting. About 20 students held a protest at a ceremony venue in Central, urging Mr. Tsang to safeguard the press freedom in the territory. US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has met Burma's political opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi and passed on a letter from US President Barack Obama. Ms. Clinton has also met Burmese President Thein Sein and urged the government to release more political prisoners. Barack Obama says the trip's purpose is to begin a new relationship between both countries.
For decades, Americans have been deeply concerned about the denial of basic human rights for the Burmese people. The persecution of democratic reformers, the brutality shown towards ethnic minorities, and the concentration of power in the hands of a few military leaders has challenged our conscience and isolated Burma from the United States and much of the world. I've asked Secretary Hillary Clinton to go to Burma. She will be the first American Secretary of State to travel to the country in over half a century. And she will explore whether the United States can empower a positive transition in Burma and begin a new chapter between our countries. That possibility will depend upon the Burmese government taking more concrete action. If Burma fails to move down the path of reform, it will continue to face sanctions and isolation. But if it seizes this moment, then reconciliation can prevail, and millions of people may get the chance to live with a greater measure of freedom, prosperity, and dignity.
Cities of Cockburn and Fremantle have joined forces to deliver one of the biggest fireworks display for Australia Day 2012. Both city mayors expected around 50,000 people to attend the display on the shores of Bathurst Bay in Fremantle.
The Cockburn and Fremantle City Councils will join forces for the first time to attempt to bring the community the best sky show on the Indian Ocean. The original Crackers Night event name will be replaced with Indian Ocean Sky Show. The evening promises to be more creative and intensive than previous years, with improved vantage points on Bathurst Bay and other viewing areas around Fremantle. Both councils have expressed their enthusiasm about the arrangement and believe the Indian Ocean will be the perfect location for the show.
$40,000 worth of pyrotechnics, which we're doing with the City of Cockburn, but then of course we've got all the Australia Day celebrations around that as well.
It's a unique experience on the Indian Ocean, and as I said, a chance for families to come down, enjoy Fremantle, have a bite to eat, bring a picnic down and just sit back and relax and watch a sky show that will be the first of its kind in Western Australia.
The councils speculate between 40 and 50,000 people will attend the event that kicks off on Australia Day 2012 at 7:30 p.m. Johanna, Lettenmaier, DHK News.
Here's Alex Stelbovics again with what's making news in sports this week.
Thanks, Ivan. And we open tonight with AFL news and the curious case of Israel Falou. Having made the switch from NRL to AFL last season, Israel has been pursuing a heavy weight loss training program. When Falou arrived at the Giants, he was a strapping 195 centimetres tall and 104 kilograms. A great size for rugby league, but not quite the shape for Aussie rules. Now, after his training, he has dropped the 7 kilos the Giants needed, and coach Kevin Sheedy is aiming for Falou to play a minimum of 15 games in his debut season. To football, and the draw for Euro 2012 is out, and England have pulled France in Group D, whilst Germany have drawn the Group of Death. Other fascinating groups, reigning champs Spain have been pulled with the 1968 winners Italy in Group C. In a brutal Group B, Netherlands, Denmark, Germany and Portugal were all drawn together in a winner-takes-all bloodbath, while co-host Poland will face Greece, Russia and the Czech Republic in Group A. And finally, Kimi Räikkönen will be joining Formula One again. His comeback begins next year in 2012 for Lotus. And that's all in sports, Ivan.
Thanks, Alex. And before we leave you, a reminder that you can join us on our Facebook page at the link below for all the latest news feeds, updates and live streamed videos. On behalf of Ana Godden and me, that's how the world looks tonight. Good night.